Science in the Bible. Is there any there? Were there any scientific claims made in the Bible thousands of years before the discoveries and experiments could have been made to prove them correct or incorrect? Let's find out as we explore a new series. This is so stupid. Science in the Bible. I'm just going to be making videos about scientific things that I find in the Bible while reading it. Alright, so I'm on Genesis chapter 30 here, and let's see what I've found out. In Genesis chapter 30, we read about Jacob making an agreement with Laban. Jacob wanting to leave, but Laban, knowing that God had blessed him because Jacob was with him, did not want Jacob to leave. So they make an agreement where Jacob asks Laban for all of his speckled and spotted sheep and all of the brown ones among the lambs and the spotted and speckled among the goats. Genesis chapter 30, verse 32. A few verses later, we read, what do we read? And a few verses later, we about Jacob, and a few verses later, we read about Jacob making a rod of green poplar and of almond and chestnut trees, so that the flock will learn to breed whenever they see the rod. And I can't help but think of Pavlov's dogs. You say it 5 times fast. Pavlov's dogs, Pavlov's dogs, Pavlov's dogs, Pavlov's dogs, Pavlov's dogs. Okay. And it appears that Jacob had known about conditional psychology thousands of years before the late 1800s, when Pavlov conducted his experiments where he sort of conditioned the dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell, just as Jacob here conditions the sheep to breed at the sight of his rod that he has made of wood. We also read, oh no, we already read. What? No, we didn't. We as in whoever happens to be reading the Bible at this time in the book world, we read that Jacob doing some very interesting ways in which he's breeding the sheep. We read that he's separating them and breeding them in very specific ways, which I couldn't help but be reminded of Gregor Mendel's experiments in the mid-1800s with pea plants. And I can't help but wonder, maybe Jacob had some insight about genetics thousands and thousands of years before Gregor Mendel ever conducted his experiments with pea plants to discover how DNA worked in the first place. So it was definitely interesting to read that, to find out that it appears as Jacob knew all this information about genetics and DNA and psychology thousands and thousands of years before modern scientists, well, almost modern scientists. Definitely interesting and something to think about if you wonder if the Bible has any credibility. That's just something to think about. This is part 1. I'm going to be doing way more because I've got science like all the way in Job, and right now we're in Genesis. So as I read and as I carefully study the Word and find out new scientific information, which there is no possible way could have ever been known unless these men were just like freaking awesome, then we're going to find out more insights in the Bible and things that we didn't even find out till thousands of years later, and things that we're still wrong about now but are clearly laid out in Scripture. So we'll definitely have fun with this. Bye bye.